Well, thanks for having me here this morning. It's a little late for Groundhog Day, but we are kind of celebrating Groundhog Day in terms of transportation here in D.C. We finally have maybe seen the end of winter, but we're not certain. The White House unveiled a proposal a couple of weeks ago, which basically it can be summed up in one word, which is this: it's your problem. And not devolution in a good sense, that we're going to give states and local jurisdictions more authority, which we already have done through many reforms in the last couple of T-bills, but you pay for it. That's the bottom line here. The so-called proposal purports to have $200 billion of federal money, and as of the State of the Union, it's up to a $1.5 trillion investment, somehow leveraging 200 into 1.5. The real fact is there's no 200 either. When asked, DJ Gribman will say, well, we're just going to cut other things, and that's where we'll get the money. And the top of the list for other things are eliminating transit and eliminating long-distance Amtrak. That doesn't get them to $200 billion, but those are the two things they mentioned. Now, John Michael, when he was chair, tried to do that, and he got his head handed to them, and there's nothing different going to happen this time around. We're not going to kill federal support for transit, and Amtrak is pretty much a settled issue as status quo. We're not getting the improvements we need, but we're not going to kill it. So there is no money. So what are, and of course, if that money did exist, the $200 billion, most of it is going to go to the Secretary's office, who will determine what projects are built where. So it's the reverse of devolution to the states in terms of decision-making. Be up to you to raise the money, and you file the applications and meet their criteria, and you can get a 20-80 match, 20% federal, 80% local. Local, state, private P3. Now, there's an awful lot of things wrong with that. I mean, and if you are a state that's already raised your revenues before this year, you will be penalized in the process. So those states that have kept up, and there's 25 states that have fairly recently raised or very recently raised revenues for transportation, you'll be penalized 20% if it was last year, 40% if it was the year before, and I think 60% the year before that, meaning in your competitive process to get the 2080 grant, you will be scored down because you passed your gas tax 2 years ago. And of course, the federal government hasn't done anything with the gas tax since 1993. And that's the sort of the bad news. The good news is the president's on a different page. I was in a meeting with the president a couple of weeks ago, and yes, although I would not confirm it to the press, he did say 25 cents. And, a couple of other senators who were in dispute over it let it out. I thought it was a private meeting and they shouldn't say anything, but Carper touted it, and then he got attacked by Thune. So, Thune said, well, Mr. President, you just be attacked by Democrats. And I said, no, I'll stand next to him if he goes for a quarter. So obviously there's a push and pull at the White House. I think the president would like to do something real, but whether we can get him to focus on it and step out is a whole nother issue. Chairman Schuster has met with the president 3 times on this. I've only met with him once, and he has made the point to the president it has to be bipartisan, because I've got 40 or 50 people in my caucus, Republican caucus, who just aren't going to vote for anything that's a federal federal transportation investment. He's made that point. He wants to sit down and start talking about it, but I'm in the position of saying, show me the money. There's no sense in talking policy if there isn't more money. I understand Senator Brasso talked about streamlining. Yeah, there's some more streamlining we can do, but all the streamlining we've already mandated hasn't been implemented yet by DOT. That's in both the MAP 21 and the FAST Act. Maybe there's some more tinkering we can do there. I think only one state has applied for to take authority, so they, on their large projects, remember 4% of federally funded projects go through the NEPA process. 90% are categorically excluded, and the other 6% go through a CE, not a very lengthy process. So yeah, maybe we can speed that up. We've also have provisions where a state can take over with an equivalent program of their own and not have to go through the federal process. So I'm willing to look at things like that, but if there's no money, it's not worth having the discussion. I got a provision in the FAST Act over the objections of the Republicans, but they needed our support to get the bill done, that says any additional money allocated by Congress to transportation flows through the existing programs as is. So we don't have to go through a 1, 3, or 5 year debate over policy. We just say, it's all there, here's the money, and you'll have it tomorrow to start putting together bids for the construction season. You know, I would say at this point, you know, the candle is kind of guttering, but you know, I'm not giving up all hope that we will not move forward. But you know, Speaker Ryan is opposed to any additional federal investment. Majority Leader McCarthy is opposed. Therefore, Kevin Brady, who chairs the Ways and Means Committee, is opposed because he won't do anything they don't want to do. So unless Trump makes a very strong case and pushes the Republicans, there will be no investment, hence there will be no bill. So that's where we're at. Anybody get any questions? If we have a minute or two left? Okay. All right. Well, now that I cheered you all up. Anyway, keep up the good work in your states, and I hope that we can become better partners. Thanks.